Hi everyone, in today's video I'm going to show you how to make this bumblebee. Okay, so you can make two different sizes. So this is a small one. For the small one I use the 3mm hook, and I'm going to show you how to make the bigger one. So I'm using a 5mm hook. Okay, so all you need is some cotton yarn in yellow, black and white, some stuffing, a pair of scissors, yarn needle and some safety eyes. And then if you're going to make the bigger one you need a 5mm hook, and if you want to make the smaller one you need a 3mm hook. Alright, if you want to make the smaller Buzzy Bee you just need one thread of yarn and your 3mm hook. But to make the bigger one I'm taking 2 threads of yarn, so one from the center and one from the outside. Okay. Make a slip knot. Then I'm going to chain 2. You can also do this with like chunky or bulky yarn. Okay, go into the first chain that you made and make 6 single crochets. Pull the tail tight. And the next row we're going to increase from 6 to 12, so we're going to put 2 single crochets in each stitch. Alright, once you have 12 around, in the next row we're going to increase to 18. So I'm going to do 1 single crochet in the first stitch and 1 increase in the second stitch. Okay, so you just want to do that until you get back to the stitch marker. 1 single crochet and 1 increase in the next stitch. Alright, now that we have 18 around, we're going to increase to 24. So 1 single crochet in the first stitch, 1 single crochet in the second stitch, and an increase in the third stitch. Okay, so it's 2 single crochets and an increase until you get back to the stitch marker. Alright, so now that we've increased to 24, we need to increase to 30. So we're going to do 3 single crochets and an increase. Okay, just do that until you get back to the stitch marker. 3 single crochets and an increase. Okay, so that's how big it's going to be. It's the same for this one. Alright, so now we want to do 3 rows of single crochet in yellow. So just 1 single crochet in each stitch for 3 rows. Okay, I'll do that and I'll come back and show you how it looks. Okay, so this is how it looks after I've done my 3 rows. All right. Now I'm going to change to black. So I'm going to slip stitch to the next stitch. Okay, and then I'm going to use my black and I'm going to chain 1. Make sure you have 2 strands of black if you're making the big one. And then I'm going to knot them together. Okay, and I leave the yellow attached for, I'm not going to cut it, I'm just going to leave it there. So the chain 1 doesn't count as a stitch, and I just go back into the stitch that we slip stitched into and single crochet. Okay, so now I just do 3 more rows of black, and I'll show you what I do when I come back to here. Okay, so now that I'm back at the end of the row, that's our slip stitch and that's our chain 1. So they don't count. You want to skip over those and slip stitch to the top of this black single crochet. So slip stitch and chain 1. Okay, so remember that the slip stitch and the chain 1 don't count. Okay, and you want to go back into the single crochet that you slip stitched into and single crochet. Okay, so for each row you need to make sure that you still have 30 single crochets around and you're not increasing by going into the slip stitch. Okay, so I'll do my other rows of black and then I'll show you how to attach the yellow again. Okay, so now I've done my 3 rows of black. I'm going to slip stitch to the top of that single crochet, and then I'm going to take my yellow and chain 1, and then I'm going to hide these 2 threads in the single crochet so it doesn't come loose. Okay, you can do it in 2 single crochets. So you just have it on top of the hook. Okay, and I'm just going to continue to single crochet. So we need 3 rows of yellow, 3 rows of black, and 3 rows of yellow. Okay, so I'm going to do that and then I'll come back and show you how it looks. Alright, so I've almost finished all my rows. So those are my 2 black rows, and I'm doing the last lot of 3 single crochets in yellow. And I don't like the way the slip stitches work, so when I get to here, instead of slip stitching in chain 1, I just single crochet around, just like the front. Okay, so you can do it either way, but I just skip over the slip stitch. There's a chain 1 in there, and I just single crochet into this one instead of slip stitch. Okay, so you can do it either way. You can keep doing your slip stitches to the very end, but I just want to work in the round now. Okay, so I'm going to go finish my other 2 rows of yellow, and then I'm going to show you how to decrease and do the wings. Okay, so now that I've done my last 3 rows of yellow, I've cut the black yarn and knotted it off, and I've also put on the eyes and the mouth. Okay, before we start to decrease. So I'm going to do 3 single crochets, and a decrease. So I'm going to go through the front loop of the first stitch, the front loop of the second stitch, yarn over and pull through those 2 loops, yarn over and pull through the last 2. Okay, so 3 single crochets and a decrease until you get back to the stitch marker. once we've finished that row, you should have 24 around. In the next row, we're going to decrease to 18. So I'm going to do 2 single crochets and a decrease. Until I get back to the stitch marker, okay? 2 single crochets and a decrease. Okay, so once we've finished decreasing to 18, I've stuffed it. Now we're going to decrease to 12. So I'm going to do 1 single crochet and a decrease. Okay, so it's 1 single crochet and a decrease until you get back to the stitch marker, and then stuff it a little bit more after this row. For the last row, we're just going to decrease each stitch, so we'll go from 12 single crochets to 6. Make sure you've stuffed it enough before you do this row though. Okay, so that's how it should look once you've decreased to 6 stitches. Cut your yarn and pull it through. And then you just want to weave the yarn tail through the front loops of each of the 6 stitches. And pull it tight. And the last thing to do is to make your wings. Okay, so I've already made one. So make a slip knot. Chain 2. Make 6 single crochets into the first chain that you made. Pull the tail tight. And the next row you want to increase from 6 to 12. So 2 single crochets in each stitch. In the next row you want to increase from 12 to 18. 1 single crochet in the first stitch, 1 increase in the second stitch. Okay, once you've increased to 18, you just want to do 1 row of single crochet around. So just 1 single crochet in each stitch. Alright, so once you've increased to 18 and you've done 1 row of single crochet around, you just want to slip stitch to the next stitch. Okay. Cut your yarn long enough to stitch it on. Pull it through. Okay, and all you need to do is stitch on the wings. Just stitch it on the yellow center row. Just line it up between the eyes. Okay. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.